And we are back. Welcome to the final day of match day 1 in the Champions League, where I'm starting today's video with another massive thank you, because yesterday we hit 3,000 subscribers on the channel, and not only did we blow past 3,000 so quickly that I missed the screenshot and it says 3,010, but we're almost at 3,100 as well, just off of yesterday. So a massive thank you to all of you that have subscribed over the course of this week. And a reminder to you all, whenever we hit these milestones, I always like to remind you that we do have a second channel, SO99 Gaming, which will be starting its new FC25 Road to Glory tonight. So make sure you're also checking out the gaming channel so you can see even more of me over on the gaming channel. But as for today, like I said, we're here to talk about the final day in match day 1 in the Champions League, after a night where, yet again, we had some absolutely enthralling action. Manchester City are human. They weren't able to beat Inter Milan, and in fact, they were arguably kind of lucky not to lose to Inter Milan. There was a couple of 0-0s out there, PSG scoring in the last minute of the game, and a brilliant performance from Sparta and Dortmund to get their respective 3-0 victories. And then Celtic winning 5-1 to mean that they are in second place in the Champions League. Absolutely incredible for Celtic. But what does it all mean? It means that after 2 days of Champions League action, we are on 9 correct results out of 12, with 1 score still remaining from the Real Madrid-Stuttgart game. And that leaves us with 6 more matches taking place in the final day today. So before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video. And as I've already said, if you haven't done so already, please do consider subscribing to the channel with notifications turned on, because next week, of course, we will be doing all of the Europa matches as well. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Champions League, match day 1, day 3. And we start things tonight with Feyenoord taking on Bayer Leverkusen. Now, these are two sides that have had very, very good times of it over the last couple of years. Obviously, Feyenoord winning the Eredivisie 2 years ago. Bayer Leverkusen going unbeaten in the Bundesliga last season, eventually, of course, losing in the Europa League final, being the only defeat they had all season. However, they've already lost their unbeaten record this season, losing at home to RB Leipzig. Feyenoord, on the other hand, do remain unbeaten so far this season. However, it's only with 1 win and 3 draws. So both of these sides arguably underperforming at the start of their domestic seasons. We saw in the Juventus PSV game the sort of status of Eredivisie clubs versus the top 5 league clubs earlier on this week. So with that in mind as well, I am going to go for a 3-1 win to Bayer Leverkusen. But we'll see. Feyenoord have done okay, like I said, so far. They're unbeaten, but they have had a lot of draws. And Bayer Leverkusen, despite having 2 wins and 1 defeat, are still pretty free scoring. So I'd still expect Leverkusen to get the win. Next up, we have got Zvezda, obviously the former Red Star Belgrade. They are taking on Benfica. Now, again, 2 of these sides, they've both had decent starts to their domestic leagues. Zvezda have 6 wins and 1 draw and sit top of the Serbian division at the moment. Benfica are currently 5th in the Portuguese league with 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. Zvezda got to this position by beating Bodo Glimt in the playoffs. More on them in Europa League in general next week. But for me, I do think Benfica, they tend to do well, and it's certainly in the group stages, in the former group stages, shall we say. Benfica have always done well. Zvezda getting in there last year, not particularly performing greatly. I think it would be a real shock if Benfica didn't get the result tonight. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for them. I don't think it's going to be an absolute breeze. Like I said, they've kind of underperformed a little bit themselves in the Superliga so far this season in Portugal. But for me, it's going to be Benfica that take the win here. Next up, a massive game. We have Atalanta taking on Arsenal. Hey, Arsenal fans. How's Thursday night football? All I've been getting for the last few months as a Man United fan is we're back on Thursday nights, back on Thursday nights. Well, Arsenal, here's your Thursday night game. And what a kick on the teeth it is for Arsenal that they have to play on a Thursday night before playing Manchester City in the Premier League at the weekend. I'm sure Mikel Arteta wasn't happy when that was decided. But going into this game, it is an interesting one. Atalanta, another side that's not made the best of starts to the season. They've won 2, they've lost 2. But crucially, when they played against Inter Milan a couple of weeks ago, they lost 4-0. So not performing in big games. Arsenal, on the other hand, have had a very good start to the season, in my opinion. 3 wins, 1 draw. Obviously, that 1 draw was with 10 men. And they've only conceded 1 goal this season. Also, when they had 10 men, and obviously they got the win away at Spurs with all their injury and suspensions at the weekend. Declan Rice will obviously be available for this one. They reckon that Calafiori will be available for this one as well. Not that they really needed him against Spurs, as I just said. So, for me, this is Arsenal's game to lose. They've built their season so far on the foundations of a solid defence. So that's what I'm going for here. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Arsenal. That then brings us to Atletico Madrid taking on RB Leipzig. 2 teams that I think have had actually pretty good starts to the season. Atletico Madrid, bizarrely, are exactly level with Real Madrid in La Liga in second place. Both Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid have had 3 wins and 2 draws. For Atletico, it is 9 goals scored, 2 goals conceded, and they actually haven't conceded a single goal since the opening day of the La Liga season. So they've made a pretty solid start of things. Leipzig have 3 wins and a draw in the Bundesliga. They've only conceded 2, but they've only scored 4, albeit 3 of those 4 were in that aforementioned win against Bayer Leverkusen a couple of weeks ago. So, interesting form in between these 2 sides. And like I said, with them only scoring 4 goals so far, that means they've had a couple of 0-0 draws along the way as well, including most recently at the weekend. They drew 0-0 to Union Berlin at home. So I think travelling to Madrid for this one, I would just have Atletico as favourites for this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Atletico Madrid. But it could be a really interesting game. And there's a lot of talented players on show for both of these sides in this one. Could be a really fun one. That then brings us on to Stade Brestois of France taking on Sturm Graz of Austria. In fact, the Austrian League champions, who are themselves have made a very good start to this season. They lost their opening game, but then have won every single game since, including, well, I say including, but drawing in a pre-season friendly with Paris Saint-Germain as well. So that puts them in good stead for playing against a Stade Brestois side that have made a really poor start to their Ligue 1 season. Only 1 win out of 4 for Stade at the moment sees them near the relegation zone as things stand. They basically qualified for this Champions League season by having the 3rd best defence in France behind PSG and Nice last season. However, this season already, they have conceded 10 goals in 4 games. But I still think they'll approach this game in the same mindset that got them to this position last season. I think we're going to see a solid defensive performance from them. And with the attacking qualities that they do still have available in their team, I still think they will have enough to beat the Austrian side. But this is probably the most dodgy prediction of the lot tonight. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Stade. But like I say, Sturm Graz, very, very good start to this season. A pretty free-scoring side as well. So we'll see what gives. Will it be a defence that remembers how to defend, or will it be an attack that has been fantastic for Sturm Graz so far this season? We shall see tonight. But like I say, this is probably the dodgiest prediction of the lot here. And then finally, keeping it in France, we have Monaco taking on Barcelona, which is an absolutely fascinating game. 2 sides that have made brilliant starts to this season. Monaco with 3 wins and 1 draw, scoring 7 and only conceding 1. Barcelona are 5 from 5, scoring 17 in those 5 matches and conceding 4. So I would expect goals to be on the agenda here. I said that last night for Bologna against Shakhtar, and that finished 0-0. But I'm expecting goals here. These sides have played 9 games so far this season and have scored 24 goals in those 9 games. So hopefully we're going to see some goals in this one tonight. For me, this is probably going to be the most entertaining game of the night. I am going to go for a 3-2 win to Barca. I can definitely see there being a lot of goals at both ends. But ultimately, with the attacking prowess that Barcelona have available to them, I think they will just edge it over their French counterparts in the end. But as always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching all of my Champions League predictions this week. I will obviously be back again tomorrow morning with the next round of Premier League predictions. And then we get to do it all over again in Europa League action next week. Thank you very much for watching once again. I'll see you very soon.